I've always had a six-pack for my whole entire weightlifting journey, even when I'm bulking. In this video, I'll be talking about how I actually did that. Firstly, let's address the elephant in the room, and that is genetics. I'm genetically gifted as an endomorph, so that means that I don't gain weight very easily. And the weight that I gain usually tend to be very minimal, even if I were to binge it. So with that, it's actually very easy for me to stay lean throughout my whole entire journey. Some body types like the mesomorph or endomorph that tend to be like a bit higher in the mass side, you might struggle to be lean. But there are things that you can do in order to actually have abs still, even when you're bulking. But it'll just be slightly harder as compared to someone like me, an ectomorph, that is very easy for us to stay lean year round. The biggest thing that you can focus on is your diet. You should go on a lean bulk and bring on a slight surplus. You want to do that because it will minimize the fat gain. If you have a higher body fat, the harder it is to see your abs. So if possible, you want to go on a lean bulk, just going slightly above your maintenance, eating maybe like 200, 300 calories above your maintenance, and from there you will like still gain muscle and gain very minimal fat. This should be the thing that you are focusing on if you're trying to bulk while still keeping your abs. I had a phase of trying to dirty bulk and eating whatever the fuck I want. I gained a lot of fat, a lot of face fat, love handles start to pop out, and I regretted it. So I don't want you to go through the same phase because eventually you have to cut down. When you have bulk and cut cycles, it wastes a lot of time in the gym. Instead, you should just like lean bulk all the way. You look good year round and you feel good and you don't have to cut. With that in mind, sugar is actually your worst enemy. And I'm not talking about like those sugar in fruits or whatever. I'm talking about added sugar. So things like gummies, cakes, ice cream. Those things are your worst enemy. If you avoid sugar completely, you will see your body completely change in the next few weeks if you cut out sugar completely. And I understand how hard is it to cut it out completely. So I don't expect you to cut it out completely, but I really want you to reduce it to a significant amount. Because look, if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes a sacrifice. I'll say that again. If you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes a sacrifice. So right now, if you want to gain weight and not lose your abs, then there's a sacrifice, and that sacrifice is sugar. That's the main sacrifice, honestly. If you can cut out sugar, that will be the best case scenario, but at least try to reduce it. Know that sugar is actually causing you to lose your abs, essentially. So is that worth it? Having like 5 seconds of pleasurable taste every single day? Is that worth the future body that you want? If it is, then by all means go ahead. But if you think like, fuck, that's so stupid, like why would I want 5 seconds of pleasure just to lose my future body? It doesn't make sense. The return on investment doesn't make sense. You also want to make sure that your body fat percentage is around 12 to 15%. That's like usually the healthy range that you should be at, and if you don't see abs at that range, then you might want to consider cutting down even more. And for training wise, you can train your abs more often, especially the lower part, because it will give that like V line. And one thing about training abs, it's like a muscle. So if you don't train your abs and you just cut down to like single digit body fat, chances are you might not see abs still. So that's why I recommend you to just train your abs once a week or twice a week. And if you can, include more compound movements, because when you are doing a compound movement, you work your abs a lot, so they become very functional, and you basically have a very strong core when you do more compound movements. But if there's one thing that you need to take away from this video, it's sugar. Cut out sugar completely or reduce it a significant amount. If you want more fat, you eat sugar. That's how it works. Sugar is basically fat, added fat, body fat. If you don't want body fat, you don't eat sugar. That's how it works. I want you to look at your diet, and for the past few weeks, have you been eating a lot of sugar? Have you been eating like ice cream, bubble tea, cakes? Because if you did, then chances are you're not gonna feel very good and you are not gonna look very good. So I want you to make the conscious choice to reduce your sugar intake. If you're on a night out with your friends and you all went to eat like at a restaurant and he decided to order dessert, you can still eat the dessert like 1 or 2 bites just to try it, but I would suggest not finishing the whole thing and not ordering one for yourself. Sometimes me and my bodybuilder friend, right, I will ask him whether he wants to share the dessert. So it's not so bad, like we still can eat it and taste like the dessert, and we still will get to enjoy life in a sense, but we don't get the full like consequences of eating it. So that's one thing you can do, like just, you can try it, have a few bites just for the taste, but don't indulge in it. And trust me, after you've made the conscious choice to eat less sugar, or even if you're brave enough, cut it out completely, you are going to see a significant change in how your body looks. Your body will look way more like structured, and you will not look as flabby. Like right now, you can see my body. I don't know if you can see, but I haven't eaten sugar for like quite some time now, like really indulge in it. Of course, maybe like I said, my friends on a night out I try some things, but I never like indulged in it for a very long time now. I don't need to dirty bulk or bulk too much thinking that it's the only way to bulk up. You can reduce the amount of fat that you gain on a bulk. That is what you should be doing. Because if you do that, you'll get too fat and you'll need the hustle of going on a cut in the future. That's just wasted time. You're wasting time on bulk and cut cycles, which I don't want you to go through. You can minimize the fat that you gain on a bulk and just cut very minimally, and you just reach your aesthetic body so much faster as compared to dirty bulking and then cutting down, dirty bulking, cutting down. If you're a skinny guy, you can DM me body on Instagram if you need personal help. Thanks for watching.